Howdy folks, we're back with another little bit of the January monthly challenge, and we have a doozy here. Challenge 52, recommended of 3 stars. We'll have to fight Irelia, then Miss Fortune. The special rules are lingering shadows. When a unit dies, grant a random unit in that player's hand +1/+1. So this is for us, but also for the enemy. And Noxian Might 2. Each round, the first time the foe summons a unit, granted 4/0 and Overwhelm. This is a very, very strong power for the foe to have. It works really well with Lingering Shadows for them, and these are 2 pretty tough bosses. Miss Fortune generally not so bad, but can get you. Irelia can be a real nightmare, and I think I have decided to bring in Ashe, trying to use Frostbite to counteract the Noxian Might, which will be incentivizing our opponent to attack into our burst speed Frostbites. I have Ashe equipped with the Grand General's Counterplan and Archangel's Staff, so every turn I get a Ashe's Flash Freeze and the mana to cast it, and I've given her Spell Shield as well. Spell Shield will probably just help us a little bit against the the recall spell that Irelia plays, the 5 mana recall spell. That's what I'm mainly looking for it to do in this round. So, I have managed to make it undefeated through to challenge 52. This could be a really, really hard one. So we're going to take it slow and see how we go. Alright. Just for a refresher, our Ashe Frostbite's the strongest enemy and gives it vulnerable at the start of every single round. And when an ally kills a unit with 0 power, grant that ally +1/+1. This Avarosan Spirit power very rarely comes up. I don't necessarily mind it being low powered, but it's a really strange one. Alright. I'm scanning over this list and I see Nomad's Medallion. That's where my eyes are always drawn. Nomad's Medallion is an unbelievably broken item. There's really no card in the game that you can't knock 2 cost off and make it a fantastic card. We would also have the Darkened Lodestone with Farsight Alteration, which is actually really interesting. Often one of the things that I am that puts me off picking up these equipment champs is the fact that it adds Equipment Matters cards to your picks. Like, we're about to go to a shop here, it will have Equipment Matters cards if we pull a cane, and it's often not really ideal because you don't necessarily have the density of equipment you would need to trigger those. But Kane is really good because he has in his bucket a bunch of things that just say if you've equipped an ally this game, and a Darkened Lodestone with Farsight Alteration is absolutely going to let us trigger that pretty reliably. Also a source of lifesteal. Keeper of the Box. A Keeper of the Box in our opener can immediately become a 3/3 lifestealer, which is 3/3 lifestealer, which is very, very nice against our aggressive enemies. We've got Neela with Formless Blade Hero's Horn, which is an interesting combo because Neela's Formless Blade will also Hero's Horn. It will also draw us a unit, which is very powerful. A little bit mana intensive, but very, very powerful. And Neela and Vcrash both have the Dragon Tooth +1/+1 and Fury. This is powerful. It does a lot of things. We definitely have an amazing late game engine in the Infinite Formless Blades, but we don't really have a good way in our deck to really take advantage of that. I know that sounds silly, reducing my opponent's units to 1 health is always going to be good, but we don't really have any particularly free ways to ping them off at that point. It's often going to involve a Frostbite just to get value out of it, and once we Frostbite, our units tend to be big enough to just eat whatever is attacking anyway. So that's turning me off this Neela a little bit. We also have an Ornn with a Shadow Totem, which is not really synergistic at all. A Combat Cook with Regeneration, which is strong. Improvise and Forge you'll end up with a 5/4 or a 5/5, and having a 5/5 regenerate for 4 is pretty solid. And the Darkened Spear with Sheen, which again is a decent equipment, but not really sensing anything special from this. I think I'm going to go with the Cane. I feel like Cane, when I kill an enemy, heal me too, and his ability to challenge and attack with Corrupted Scythe, grant himself stats, is really synergistic with our Ashe plan, and I really like Nomad's Medallion on Cane, and I really like Darkened Lodestone. So we're going to go through to our shop, As always, I'm going to leave immediately. Reason being, that doesn't knock you out of the shop, it just lets us see where these two nodes down here are. Spells chest and healer. Alright, I generally don't really like going to spells chests, so we will likely be going to healer and cutting a card after Irelia, so we can keep that in mind. What do we have? We've got a big pile of stats. This here is just a regular old 6/8 that has no text. 3 mana 6/8. That's something. Not too much throughout the rest of this. I love buying items for my existing cards, and I might buy this Iceborne Gauntlet because it's quite reasonably priced. But Alpha Wildclaw is definitely not one of our more relevant cards in the matchups to come. We're going to be playing against some very, very aggressive decks. This is also just me realizing that Alpha Wildclaw is a cat with a bunch of paws. I thought it was a bear. Anyway, we can also buy items. Ooh, this is extremely tempting because it's going to turn our Ashe value engine with Archangel Staff and the Grand General's counterplan into board presence, which is something that's always a little bit problematic with that plan. Is you spend mana and you don't necessarily apply anything to the board, you just take away from your opponent's board, but you sort of need a way to take advantage of that. I am almost definitely going to buy this, but I think that means I'm going to mentally tabulate my 225 missing gold. I'm going to spend a few rerolls here to see if we can get anything handy. I think that makes me happier to get this Iceborne Gauntlet. We'll just purchase the one. I don't really want 6 Alpha Wildclaws in my deck, but if I have Alpha Wildclaws anyway, I do want them to have the Gauntlet. And then we're going to reroll. I'm not interested in any of the rest of this stuff. Would be very funny, but it's just not going to be relevant. A late game card draw spell against Miss Fortune and Irelia. Oh gosh, what's our one drop? Just Omen Hawk. Jeez. Involuntary Testing is a messed up card. I mean, this is just absurd, and putting doubling dice on it is doubly absurd. But it wouldn't really do anything for us. It wouldn't commit anything to board, and we would just be playing a bunch of Omen Hawks, which I think against our opponent's deck with a bunch of burn and a bunch of quick attack won't even be that relevant. Nothing super powerful here. There is an Ezreal mana deposit, which is, you know, synergistic. We're going to be targeting a lot. I just... for whatever reason, it doesn't feel right to me to pick that. Although I guess we could pick up one, because we'll want mana deposit if we hit Ezreal with a flash freeze. I think I might. Yeah, we'll take the one, and then it's 15 for another copy. No, we should add 3 Ezreals to our deck. Mana deposit is really good. We want to get on board. Elusives are always nice. Ezreal can jump block as Zenea, which is a very common way to lose against the Irelia deck. 225, so we have another 65 available to us. Spend one more reroll here. No, not really interested in a 6-drop, not really interested in a bunch of spells, not really interested in a tiny bit of burn. Can't cast this. That's interesting. No, that seems too slow, and part of the reason that I don't really love stuns against Irelia is that free attacks can happen through stun. So yeah, especially slow speed stuns are not very effective against Irelia specifically, which I think is going to be the harder of the two fights coming up. Don't love this. We are going to go to a healer here, so we can actually spend as many rerolls as we want. At this stage with 290 gold, the 225 gold is the lowest price you ever see at this buy items tab. So we are just going to spew all of our rerolls here, because there's no reason to actually no. We're going to save 1 or 2 because I will get a reward after the mini boss, which I forgot about. Ooh, that is great and fits in our budget. You know, I'm actually just going to buy this flash freeze now, just because I think I could just mess up and accidentally buy something more expensive. We're going to add more Ice Veil Archers. That sounds like a great addition to our deck. And now I think we'll just move on. Yep. Yep. Alright, this is feeling good. Let's
Fight
see.
for the first lands!
Alright, so we are frostbiting and vulnerable. We frostbite and we give an enemy vulnerable every single round. And I need to remember the vulnerable because it's quite easy to forget and it can be quite important. What do we want to see? We quite like seeing Kane, because when I kill an enemy, heal me 2 is perfect against our foes' blades, which I believe have, I believe against the Irelia deck, the blades are always 2/2s, and Irelia's token spell, Flawless Duet, I believe always has mana potion, so it costs 1, which is really gross, but okay. I'm less excited about these Everos and Trappers because they don't really block an Irelia well. But a Kane might be able to challenge an Irelia at some point. At some point. Infinite Blade Worlds tends to get their Irelia really big, which is yucky. Shed Spirals is going away because it's slow and it's weak, and we would rather just see like an Ashe, or our Ice Veil Archers would be really excellent here. Alright, I will take an Arisen Sentry, I will take an Ezreal, I will take an Ashe. This is pretty good. What's my opponent going to do? They're going to play their 2-mana 2/1 Ribbon Dancer, which Blade Dances 1, attacks, and gets +1/+1. So they're going to hit me with a 3/2 and a 2/2. A 3/2? Yes, a 3/2. So I could play my Everosen Sentry, block the 3/2. What happens next? They play an Irelia, they attune. I play my Ezreal. I get the mana back. They attack. Or they Blade Dance with Irelia. It is a 6/5 attacker with some blades. And I can Frostbite it. And if I hit specifically a LeBlanc, I could... if I hit specifically a LeBlanc, I could block and kill the Irelia. Or I could Ezreal, I Blade Dance, I Flash Freeze, then I play the Ever-Risen Sentry. I don't think there's any reason to do that. We are just going to eat their Ribbon Dancer.
Still see far and clear.
Sparring Student. Sparring Student also fine.
Safeguard our homes.
I forgot about the Overwhelm. That could be gnarly. Yep, we're just going to make this trade here. Sparring Student with Overwhelm is a really good card in my opponent's deck. There is an argument for leaving it alive just because it will probably be the strongest. Oh no, if they play Irelia with the Overwhelm, that's just definitely going to be stronger than the Sparring Student, even when it attacks. Alright.
I dance not to forget, but to remember.
God. Now we're in another interesting position, because we could Ice Veil Archer this Irelia. They Flawless Duet. This becomes a 3/4 and attacks alongside it. Then it becomes a 4/5. We get smacked for a bunch. Or we could stick with our Ezreal plan. Start flash freezing people. God, this is really tricky actually. Frostbite the strongest enemy and give it vulnerable next round. So if we can Frostbite this Irelia, we should just be able to kill it next round. When it has vulnerable, we could do something like an Ashe into vulnerable, attack it. I think that makes me want to play Ezreal.
Don't blink or you'll miss me.
Ezreal, Flawless Duet. We are going to respond to the attack, not to the spell. If we respond now, then Infinite Blade Waltz is going to trigger, and their Irelia will get an extra +1/+1. We're going to do it after the Irelia gets the +1/+1. Ooh, BB pop. What bad did we get? Oh, this was excellent. A Radiant Armor on Ezreal is fantastic. We're actually... We could, yeah, no, we should block here. There's a reason to not kill the blades because it is going to trigger lingering shadows when a unit dies. Grant a random in that unit in that player's hand, +1/+1. But this blade actually isn't going to die. It's going to bounce off the Soraka, and then when they leave combat, it will get obliterated. So I might as well save 2 life here because Soraka heals herself when she attacks. Alright, I'm feeling pretty happy about the way that this is going. Except my game froze for a bit. That was exciting. We can also next turn, if we want to try to dodge any shenanigans. They have another Irelia in hand. So that is probably going to be their play if they can. This is really interesting. Okay, yeah. I think I'm on board. We do this. We do this. Heal our Soraka. We eat their Irelia unless they have a twin disciplines. And then we get to choose between Ashe or Mystic Shot.
Live with purpose. My homeland. I must become the leader they need.
So I could Mystic Shot the Sparring Student, I could Mystic Shot the Irelia. I don't think I'm interested in doing that because having an Ashe on the board and knowing that you're going to get a counterplan trigger and a staff trigger is really positive. I don't think that my opponent has any interaction that would get through Ashe's spell shield right now. Not that I know.
Unite the Freljord.
Alright, good. I know we wasted that Ezreal Mystic Shot, but that was just the way that turn had to go, I think. Alright, excellent. Double Flash Freeze makes me feel really safe. We're going to get to Flash Freeze the Sparring Student and eat it. Oh, that's also quite funny. We could Flash Freeze the 6-2. Oh, we might need to do that, hey. Well, let's check what we... Our strongest unit is currently the Ashe, which I'm a big fan of. That's really good to just be stacking items on her for a little bit more survivability. We'll Frostbite here because the blade is going to get obliterated anyway. Let's see what I hit. Ooh, leveled up Ashe.
Guide me!
Crystal Arrow could end up being a really important spell in this game, but we'll see how it goes. Sorry, there's some sort of low-flying aircraft. I don't know if you can hear that. Okay, Lysandra sucks, and we're never gonna proc her. So I think we're going to use her as a game thrower to keep this second Flash Freeze around. Then we are going to block here to get 1/1 on our Ashe, and take 4. Yeah, that feels pretty good to me.
Left foot.
Okay, we're starting to have some choices here. We have a Kayn, we have a Rimefang Wolf, and I think I'm going to play the Rimefang Wolf. It would be nice to start getting strikes on this Kayn, I admit, and it would be nice to start getting procs on the Darkened Scythe, the attack procs. But I just think this Rimefang Wolf being bigger is going to end up being really relevant. If we can start applying some pressure, we provide some degree of immunity against the really silly stuff like Zinnia that can
this 100 times.
really start to get you in the late game from Irelia. There's some easy blocks there.
How many more?
We got 9, 13, 17, 19. That's a lot of damage. We could Darken Lodestone up to 21. Mystic Shot to 23. This would get us this instead of Darken Lodestone would get us to 25. I think we're going to go for 25 and see if we can Flash Freeze a good item.
Blade sharpened. Plant that lead foot. Don't worry. I've danced this 100 times.
Okay, this is really bad if they have twin disciplines, but it does get a blocker off the board. I just don't think I'm gonna do that, but I do think I'm going to save 2 life. God. This getting a bunch of buffs is proving pretty awkward. Alright, fingers crossed. I think we're going to point our Soraka heal again at the Ezreal here.
Stars fall.
That puts us at 23. We will get a Frostbite trigger on this, so it can't block, but we're actually going to spend another Ashe's Flash Freeze just to see if we can get a Savage Shield, a Phage, or a Colossal Hammer, or a Dragon's Tooth, all of which would make this lethal. There it is, baby! Dragon's Tooth. Alright, we got it.
Take heart.
Alright, I'm really happy about that.
Look sharp, my darlings.
We genuinely could have lost to what my opponent is doing. It would have been a really bad time.
No sweat.
It's just...
I understand.
This is unnecessary, but I sometimes forget things.
Charge.
Alright, there we go. An opponent's Irelia getting out of control is really the risky part of the Irelia fight, and doubly so when they have an option fight.
I knew we had it all along.
That's basically how you lose. You either lose to a absurdly big stat buff, spell shield, Irelia, or you lose to kind of just taking some chip damage in the early game and then getting attacked by Zenea for like 12 elusive. Alright, interesting. God, this is all really, really, really good. How many copies of Ashe do we have? Just the 2? Yeah, I think as good as these are, our relics are just so powerful that we want an Ashe item. And if we're picking an Ashe item, I think the most relevant one is going to be Farsight Alteration. With Hero's Horn, the level 20 upgrade, Hero's Welcome, game start, draw a champion. Farsight Alteration does get a little bit less effective, or rather it draws you a card less of the time, because the draw a champion off your level skill happens before Farsight Alteration checks to see if one is in your hand. But I think it's still... Shared Spoils bad. I think it's still
Sure you can handle
like
it.
really worth it to pick up if your champion is important to your strategy, not because it's necessarily going to be really powerful, but because it's going to shave off the bottom percentage. You know, the number of games where you lose hard will be reduced. Okay, we are going to keep the wombo combo of Keeper of the Box plus Farsight Alteration on Dark and Lodestone, so we can pop out a life stealer pretty early. Happy to see Kayn, happy to see Ezreal, happy to see Ashe. Yeah, feeling pretty good about this. We even have an Omen Hawk. Do we want an Omen Hawk? Do we want a Vampiric? Do we want a Keeper of the Box? I feel like I want to play the Keeper of the Box and the Dark and Lodestone sort of on the same turn, just to get her out of range of some kind of burn. And I think Omen Hawk will be
I'm one
probably...
of the good guys, but not that good.
It's not going to be able to block Miss Fortune, which is going to be pretty awkward. Do we want to attack here? No, right? I feel like at some point this Omen Hawk is going to block more damage. Interesting. Although, Kayn, if we put mark 2 damage on the Miss Fortune, then Kayn... Yeah, okay. We're going to sacrifice our Omen Hawk to get +1/+1 on something in hand, hopefully like a Kayn or an Ezreal. Excellent. Very happy to see that. We are going to take so much damage next turn. We are going to take like 20 damage. Oh, no, we've got the Frostbite. Alright, we are going to take less than 20 damage, but we're still going to take a good chunk. So, what do I have? I don't think I have any blocks. I think we have a pretty simple turn of Ezreal into... Ezreal into what? Ezreal into Kayn, right? Or do we just Ezreal into nothing, so that next turn we can hold up a spell with Ashe? We don't have a spell in turn. Now I think we are going to Ezreal into Kayn, and for that I think I actually want to play Ezreal here, because if my opponent plays another small unit, I'll want to be able to block it with Kayn if I can, and I can't play Kain into Ezreal because of this mana deposit.
The undoing draws near.
Yes.
Cover me, Crackshot. You got it, Captain.
Alright, I'm happy about this.
Captain's orders. Bullet to the face.
Yep, our Kain is going to become a 2/3, that's fine. And should we block 1 damage here or not? I don't think so. That's going to mark 3 damage on our Ezreal to save us 1 life, and that seems like we can get a better use out of that sometime. Alright. My next turn is probably just going to be Ashe, attack. Ashe, attack, Ashe vulnerables this. Kain challenges the Crackshot Corsair. I think that's what it's going to look like. Is there anything different we should do? Should we cast our Ezreal token Mystic Shot instead? Huh. No, I'm overcomplicating things. I was thinking about like passing priority to see what they played, to see if their 4/0 Overwhelm buffed unit this turn was an X2, because then we could attack with Ezreal and kill it, and that might end up playing more to the board. That's overcomplicating things. I am going to Ashe, I am going to Frostbite a Grumble Slug, I am going to kill a bunch of my opponent's stuff. This is not scary at all. That does actually factually nothing, which is pretty awesome. Right, we're going to end up with a Kain in hand. Yep. All this looks good to me. The Oracle's Eye is free, folks. The Oracle's Eye is free. Just take a moment in our server, see that everything that's happening is what we want to happen.
The rage. Let it loose.
Alright, man. I feel a bit bad for Kain, because you sort of have to decide whether he, conquers his demons or becomes them. But Shadow Assassin is just like not a very powerful card, so he just gets eaten every single time I play him. Alright, do we want to play out Kain now? Is there any reason to? Is there any reason not to? I don't think there's any reason not to, and my opponent could still easily take multiple actions next turn, so I think I'm more interested in committing to the board in fewer actions rather than seeing the maximum amount of what my opponent does. Alright, from here on I'm feeling really, really safe. Just having an Ashe up against my opponent, an Ashe and a Rust up, so we can just kind of keep eating their things and healing our Rust, healing our Nexus. Like, I'm feeling really good. What are we doing here? I think we are waiting for our opponent to attack, and then we are using some of our fast spells depending on what they do. Or I could stop them from attacking just to try and minimize the number of battle triggers that they get. I actually don't mind that, yeah. So Ezreal's Mystic Shot over here, Ashe's Splash Tree is here. Go, level our Ashe, get a Yummy, which is probably the worst champion we've heard. But, 3 mana 2/2. Powerful gameplay.
Firing.
Right, our Rust is leveled, our Ashe is leveled, our Ezreal is a long ways off leveling. I don't really see any reason to commit these Keepers of the Box to the board. I think I'm doing just fine here, and I'd rather... Oh, Banking Spell Mana is irrelevant because of Farsight Alteration. I think I'm still happy just sort of like playing out this Alpha Wildclaw now, capturing their Miss Fortune and putting just a big block on them.
Get bloody, get paid.
Yep. Do I want to challenge with Rust or not? This won't be able to block, it's going to be zero power. I think I do actually want to challenge both of these. That's going to get us some life, get our opponent off the board, and still get them down to 17, which should be a lethal attack for us next time.
Son of a...
Alright, I'm really happy with how this challenge has gone in general. It's, I was really worried about this one because holy hell, Noxian Might 2 can absolutely get you. It can be a brutal power to fight against.
Success gets
You got it.
around here.
Time to make
I'm feeling so safe behind my infinite ashes. You got it. So much stuff resolving on that opponent is 9,000 different types of dead. Oh no, Ashe got regenerate.
Thanks, Bridges.
Handy. Alright. Just let me kill him.
That's gotta hurt.
Now begins a new era of peace.
Now begins a new era of peace. Now that we've destroyed those damned freedom fighters. That went really well. I'm very happy. I have been more and more impressed by Ashe as time has gone on. I think I've sort of like learned to play her a bit more and also learned to just lean into this very, very slow, like very, very slow Frostbite engine, but with the Hextech Fabricator on it produces some really, really interesting board states, and you can just get really ahead on your opponent in a way that sort of surprised me once I started playing on that. Alright, that was great. Feeling really happy about that. We're at 52 wins, we've got 18 to go, and I'll see you soon. I hope you have a great day.